before, we rarely get political on the low up, but Thelma G, Uno or spades?
Spades all day.
Spades all day. Okay. Okay. There is a right and a wrong answer here. We're not going to say which one is right or wrong, but we're about to jump into the show. This is the Low Up Podcast, Make You Blow Up Podcast. My name is Lee, and we are here with Thelma. She is a real estate professional. She can help us get through this whole miasma of purchasing homes and buying things. And this is what we need to know. How are we going to jump into this home buying process? Thelma, thank you for joining us.
Oh my goodness, thank you for having me. I'm so honored, Lee. This is amazing. This is one of my first podcasts. I talked about doing one for a long time with other people. So when you approached me, it was right on time. I do appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're here. We got questions, all right? The first one is just right out the gate. I have friends, even myself, I'm inquiring, what are the basic essentials when I'm considering buying a home for the first time?
Okay, so before I jump into that, I just want to give you a quick introduction of myself. So been married for 23 years to my awesome husband, Quincy, mother of 4, 2 of which are millennials. I include myself in the millennial age group, even though I operate more like a Gen X. Only 39, so I'm right there with you guys. Entrepreneur for over 20 years. Hairstylist is my main bread and butter. However, real estate is a new venture for the Atlanta area. So been doing it now almost 2 years here in Atlanta, born and raised in Michigan. I've owned multiple properties myself, so I feel like I have a lot to offer you guys today. So just wanted to get that out there. And getting back to your question, the basic essentials for first-time home buyers. Man, that is a loaded question.
Is it? Okay.
It is a loaded question only because you mentioned something about the millennials not being able to qualify. I know that's the next topic, but I think it's all a mindset, right? As a first-time homeowner, you're afraid. You're afraid to commit. You're afraid to step out, and it's the unknown, right? So I think millennials first have to decide if they're willing, they need to commit. And I think after that, they just need to trust the process. So to be honest, just need to be willful, you need to commit, and you need to trust. Those are the basic needs.
Okay. So there's like a fear element in there and a confidence element as well when it comes to jumping into home buying.
Yes.
Right out of the gate. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad we got there because there was one word that you said that was just boom, rang out inside of my brain. You said the word process. When I decide to jump in, I've trusted, I feel confident. What's the process?
Okay, so the process is to be, again, first willful. You also have to be credit conscientious. So credit conscious. A lot of times people think about just their credit score when they think about being credit conscious. They don't really think about their income. They don't think about their debt to income ratio. That's kind of a new thing that people hear for the first time when they're trying to purchase a house. They hear debt to income ratio. And it's about the only time that creditors really look at your debt to income ratio is when you're purchasing a home, because what they want to know is, can you afford this house next year, the following year? Are you responsible? So most times they want, so say for instance, you bring in $4,000 a month. They don't want your debt, all of the bills that you have to pay, the credit that you have to pay, as far as your credit cards, car note, your spending habits. They don't want you to spend more than 50% of what you're bringing in. So if you make $4,000 a month, you should not be spending more than $2,000 on those bills, those debts. When you get over that, It's kind of a problem. So that's the credit conscientious part that I'm speaking of, the debt to income ratio. The first step you should also do is talk to a real estate professional like myself, a realtor. We're pretty much a master of real estate. We have to do a little additional schooling to be a realtor. Everybody who sells real estate is not quote unquote a realtor. So we usually can navigate you depending on your situation, your circumstance. We can navigate you to how to get to your goal the fastest. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's situation is totally different. You can't look at your brother, your mom, your aunts, your cousins, and what they did years ago, or even last year, and compare it to today's market, because it's just totally different. So you definitely need to, like I said, be willful, get to a realtor ASAP. Even if you're not going to buy this year, plan ahead, because it is a process depending on your situation. You may be ready next month. You may be ready now. Then it may take you a year,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that often people who say, hey, I'm planning on doing this, then it may take them a year plus sometimes to actually execute or figure out what they need. Because when you want to do something, I think like wanting to do it is one thing, and then figuring out, maybe I need to fix my credit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have too much debt, like how you're saying. Sometimes you want to execute, sometimes you may not be ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you know what? Let's move on. Say I am ready. Say I am ready. I figured this out. There's an article I was reading. This is part of the Urban Institute. It says 33% of millennials, they're unable to qualify for these loans. How do we fix this? How do we remedy that?
Right. So that is that process part. When you first apply for a mortgage, whether you're a millennial or not, you're going to get some very detailed information about who you are on paper, right? And it's going to sound a lot different from who you think you are. So I was interested in knowing when that particular article was printed, because not to combat it, but I did some, searching on my own. I asked some of my social media followers to give me their input, and they had some great input. There's another article that I would love to email you so that you can put in the podcast for individuals to read. But just going off of my experience, like I said, I am a millennial. I consider myself to be a millennial, and we just purchased our second property here in Georgia, and so I don't really agree with it. The last 4 buyers that I've had were all millennials. And as a matter of fact, 2 were men and 2 were women, so we got to be careful about those statistics and the things that we read, because the media loves to blow things up out of proportion, right? And they like to take one generalization and make it for everyone and all age groups and all individuals, and Black people this and Black people that. So this article is really, really good. I won't get into full detail, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's if they're not able to get the loan the first time that they apply. You get what I'm saying? Because that, like I said, it's a process. I've had individuals who told me, hey, I was denied, blah, blah, blah. And then they talked to me and I was able to get them approved instantly within 24 hours. They had the same credit situation. They had the same income. They didn't get a raise in 24 hours. Their credit didn't change in 24 hours. They just spoke to a different lender. They spoke to someone who looked like them, who cared about them reaching their end goal, and then just turned their backs on them. So, be careful about that media and that fear that people will put on you, because it's not always the case.
Okay. Interesting. And yeah, let's throw up a link somewhere. It'll be somewhere.
Yeah.
It'll be somewhere. So again, we're moving on through this process. Now we found this lender who can, who cares. We got this home for this property. Now I want to get into when it comes to purchasing a home at this point, because there was a guest on a previous podcast. He said, if you're buying a home, you want to really think about why you're buying it. Are you buying it just to live in? Are you buying it as a rental property? If you're buying it to invest, maybe now we're getting into something good. Well, how do we see the difference between a property as something that's more residential, we just want to chill in, versus something that we're like, whoa, this is an investment here?
All right, so that's a very, very good question. I would say just to marry into that question, ending the other one, I was thinking the most accurate statement about millennials is they tend to be a little bit more selective, and they want multiple. I mean, it's multiple reasons why they're selective. They like new properties. They want to be close to the city. They don't want a whole lot of maintenance for yards. And they don't see the value in home ownership, and they want their first home to be an investment property. So, you mentioned, how do you decide if you want a home to live in or an investment property? And I'll just shed some light on that situation. Every property is an investment. The question is, what type of investment do you want? Because anytime you're purchasing land or home, that's the one asset, that's the biggest purchase you'll make in your entire life. And that is the one thing that will not go down in value. Like if you buy a car, everybody wants to put their money into cars and things like that. Atlanta, we drive so much. We're constantly driving, putting miles on those cars. As soon as you pull off the lot, your car has dropped in its value. A home, on the other end, is going to consistently increase. Now, it may stabilize and it may not increase fast anymore like they have been the last, 2 to 3 years, but every single home is an investment property. So the bigger question is, what type of investments are you willing to do right now? What are you looking for?
So what are the different kinds? Is it like we're talking about maybe like having a rental situation, maybe something that you live in that you think may appreciate at some other point? Is that along the lines of what you're?
So you can do it multiple ways. There's a variety of homes that you can purchase. For certain millennials, if you're single, you're not married, obviously you don't need something huge. If you see yourself getting married soon, I would say definitely look for something that you guys could grow into. So just to give you different types of properties you could purchase a condo, which would be a lot similar to an apartment. However, you actually own it, and you will have HOA fees, which is the home association fees. And they pretty much put parameters on what you can do with your land, with your particular unit. And they usually have community areas that everybody pays a portion to, so that, you can have access to a pool and different playgrounds and whatnot in your community. And they also have the restrictions so that people don't have, cars or trash, in their yards or in the common walkways and whatnot, just out of control. So you can definitely do a condo. You can do a big or a small condo. I mean, it depends on where you want to be. If you want to be in the city, if you want to be downtown, you could do a townhouse. Townhouses, again, have HOA fees, and they come in a variety of sizes. You can do a 2-bedroom townhouse. They may have 2 levels or 3 levels. And you can go all the way up to like a 4-bedroom townhouse. And then you can do a single family home. Single family home is your traditional home that your mom got, your friends that recently purchased the house, that's what we consider single family home or traditional home. And to take it even a step further, when you think of investment property or income potential, you could even do a single family home with an in-law suite, or a teen suite, or a finished lower level, like a finished basement, has a separate entrance, bathroom, bedroom, living space. Those types of properties, as a millennial, whether you're single or just have a girlfriend or whatever, you could even live in the smaller area and then rent out the bigger portion of the house. If you're doing a townhouse or a regular traditional home, you can rent out the rooms, the bedrooms, to individuals. there's a surplus of ways. You can do it through Airbnb, Verbo. As long as you own that property and you look through your HOAs and there's no restrictions for, Airbnb rentals and things like that, there's a endless amount of income potential in all types of homes. And you could also do a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, which is also called a quad. And all of those can be done the same way. You can do it as a first time home buyer, which a lot of people don't even think about that option. As long as you're living in one of the units, you can purchase it as a first time home buyer, FHA, conventional, whatever, and rent out to others.
That's so interesting. Is the process different, like when you're purchasing, like different, like versus the condo, single family, or is it all just one big same similar thing?
Yeah. No, great question. So the process is not typically different. Usually when I work with buyers, I try to get their motivation, see exactly what they're interested in, and think of other creative ways they can get to that end goal. But as long as you're upfront with your realtor and let them know that you're open or you're interested in a property like this or that, as long as we have a lender that is on board, with getting you the income that you need for these types of properties and getting you the loan plan that you need for these types of properties. No, the process is pretty much the same. I will say the appraisal and the inspection fees are a little bit more expensive when it comes to like a duplex or a triplex or a bigger home versus a smaller home, because it's more square footage, and usually they charge by the size of the dwelling. But other than that, nope, everything is pretty much the same.
Okay. Another question, because we started talking about duplexes and triplexes, and those are the things I like to hear about. That's cool. But I know that they're hard pressed to find in different areas of just Atlanta, and you're lucky if you find one in DeKalb, but they're in some other areas. Are the taxes different in different areas of the city?
Yes, absolutely. Taxes are very much so fluctuating. And the main reason why is school districts. So if you're moving into an area that has quote unquote a great school district, or a city that everybody wants to be in, that is pretty much maximize their space, the land will be taxed a lot more. Like for instance, the city of Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, has higher taxes than cities in the outskirts. And for sure, the taxes are more expensive if you're in a great school district. I mean, that's just a given. And it's rightfully so, right? Because the schools are funded by the federal government, so those taxes help make sure that school is progressing along really well. So yes, taxes are different, but it doesn't really matter too much, the taxes, depending on, like, say, for instance, the size of the home. It's more or less the size of the land and how valuable that land is.
Okay, man, this has all been very good. Very great. Is there anything, because in terms of process, I know I might be missing something, but there's nothing that comes to mind right now. Is there anything that you would think would be necessary for someone, if they're trying to jump into this right now, for them to know, like right off the gate?
Yes, for sure. Okay, so I believe you asked me about taxes and being different as a landlord. So I also wanted to make sure that everyone understands that insurance is different if you're renting out the property. You have to have a different type of insurance versus if you're living in the home. So if you're living in the home, insurance is usually cheaper. But if you're, say, renting the home out and now you're a landlord and it's a rental dwelling, there's a different type of insurance that you have to get. And you as the owner have to get that. And then you still want to make sure that your tenant also has renter's insurance. So that's going to be a little higher. That's going to be a little difference, but nothing too crazy. They just know that home is going to get a little bit more wear and tear because an actual homeowner is not the one living in it. But as far as what everybody needs to know that we may not have covered, yeah, I think the biggest thing is property is going up. I mean, it's not coming down. It's not coming down anytime soon. I want to encourage the millennials and anybody else who is interested in purchasing to do so if they can fast and not slow, because it's only going to get worse, you know. And right now, if you're blessed enough to still have a job and have not been furloughed or, you know, laid off or even fired, and you actually can purchase, there's really no time to be debating about the cost of everything and how your mom or your brother or your sister or your friend purchased everything so much cheaper last year. We're not in last year, you know. That's the days of last year is gone. So they're going to continue to go up. The great thing is the interest rates are at a historic low right now. So you can purchase a house and your note will probably be about the same as a friend of yours that purchased last year, where their interest rate may have been, or let's go 3 years back, where their interest rate may have been a little higher. But you're buying the same type of home. You know, your home might cost a little bit more, but because your interest rate is so low, you guys' payments might be about the same. So don't let that deter you, you know, because the interest rates will eventually go up again, and then the home prices will go down again. Still, that mortgage payment is going to be the same, because as one increases, the other one will. It's an offset, you know, it's going to balance itself out. So I would not let that discourage me at all. If you can buy right now, it's always a great time to buy.
That's interesting. And in terms of the interest rate, is it still below 2%? Last time I checked, that's where it was, or around that 2% mark.
Was that for FHA or conventional?
I think it was FHA.
Okay. No, they are not that low anymore. I believe the last time I checked, they were somewhere around 3.2%, but that is still fairly low. Conventional is roughly around 3.5%. But conventional can vary, you know, depending on, you know, each person and their debt to income ratio and whatnot, because some people, well, even the down payments that you have to put down is different with conventional depending on your credit score. So again, getting a great realtor like myself with a good team of lenders will help you navigate which type of loan is best for you, what the interest rates will look like, and just giving you a little heads up for easy math for you to, you know, calculate in your mind and think about. You're going to look at, for closing costs for any property, you're going to look at about 7 to 7.5% total for closing costs off the total price of that home, that sales price. And the closing costs includes your down payment and your prepaids, which is what you have to pay for your mortgage insurance and your taxes, maybe the HOA and whatnot. So, you know, not to let that scare you, but that's an average cost. So say the house was 100,000. We know this house is not going to be 100,000. There's pretty much no houses at 100,000, but let's just say for easy math, it was $100,000. You can look to spend 7,000 for your closing costs total, which would include your down payment and your prepaids and all of that stuff. Sellers are not giving up much sellers contributions, which is something that they used to do a lot of before this time frame, right? They would give you 1,000, 5,000, you know, towards your closing costs so that you didn't have to pay so much. Houses are going so fast right now, they're not giving that type of money up. So you really need to make sure that you have all of your tax money saved, you're saving that stimulus money, because depending on the type of home you want to buy, you're going to have to pay some money for what it is that you say that you want.
Right. Speaking of which, you know, the stimmy and what the government's doing out here. Every once in a while, the government does, you know, some housing projects and they try to get people in some homes. Are there any kind of government assistance, kind of grants or things that you know, buyers could look out for?
Absolutely. So when you get in touch with that realtor and that realtor sends you to a particular lender, I usually tell people I give them a list. I work with more than one lender. I work with like about 5 or 6 different lenders because there's so many different types of situations, so many different clients, and all of their issues are different. You know, some are self-employed, some have great jobs, some are salary, some are hourly. But long story short, some of these lenders have access to some of these grants that you talk about, right? And some of these grants are for, say, different areas. Like there was one, like a Georgia Promise, I believe, where they were giving people Georgia Dream. They were giving people $5,000 towards their closing costs. You have the NACA program, which is, I don't know too much about the NACA program, but I know that they take you through a series of classes to give you knowledge on credit and different things like that. They put you in their program and they pay a certain amount towards your closing costs as well once you complete that program. The thing about these programs is, because we're in this pandemic and because the houses are flying off the shelves, a lot of these programs have either stopped their funding or there's so little available that most individuals don't qualify for it. So one of the criteria, I believe, was you had to make under $75,000 a year, which isn't too big of a deal because most people make under $75,000 a year, especially millennials. But the issue is, when you put an offer in on that particular home, we as the realtor, we have to put in the stipulations that you have this Georgia Dream or this NACA program that is going to pay part of the down payment cost. And unfortunately, a lot of sellers don't like to deal with their parameters or wait for that funding to come through. So you will lose out on those offers most times because they know that it's going to take longer to close. Most of these sellers want to close within 30 days, if not shorter. So, that's a lot of information and it gets a little deep, it gets really complicated, but just to give you a synopsis, yes, those programs are available, but will most people qualify for them and be able to use them? No, you're not going to have much buying power trying to wait for those types of programs.
Okay. Honestly, that's perfect because, those are the kind of questions that we needed to know. Oh, I appreciate it. In terms of what, I was, really interested in finding out and figuring out, I think for the most part, this kind of settles it.
Good.
There is something else, and this one, giving the people what they want. They want to know more about the realtor Thelma. They want to know. So I have this question bowl right here. This is front, it's off screen. You can't see, but
okay.
I do have some questions. Are you ready for the questions from this question bowl? This is never before seen.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, this one's been seen. All right. Okay, how about this? Name one unexpected talent that you have that nobody really would expect.
That nobody would expect. Oh, I'm so talented. Let me see. Let me think. I can skate. I'm a skater. Yeah, I'm a skater. Yeah, I'm not that
like the backwards, that flex.
I'm not that great, but I can skate. We'll leave it there.
I got you. All right. I have one more for you.
Okay.
This one here. Who is, and this is just, one person besides yourself that people should check out?
And is there any specific field?
No. Like, if I had to choose, it would be, I can't think of anybody right now, but you're answering the questions.
Oh, come on. That people should check out. Okay. So I'll just throw, and this is a very famous person. Most people know him already anyway, but I follow Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith a lot. They are like one of my favorite families. They're my favorite couple. I feel like they are imperfect and they will remind you of that all the time. I love their realness, their bluntness. But Will Smith has a show on Netflix. And right now, I cannot think of the name of this darn show. But anyways, it goes in full. Amend. It's called Amend. AMEND. And he talks about Black history and different people in Black history that we may have known about, but didn't know the full details of their journey and how it relates to the amendments now and how the U.S. was made and formed. Love that show. Love it, love it, love it. Please go check it out.
All right. Yeah, I've seen like I've seen it on Netflix on the thing, but I didn't know what it was about.
Oh yeah, it's good. Check it out, please.
Very interesting. Okay, well, for the most part, I believe this concludes this episode of the Low Up Thelma. Where can the people find you?
Oh, I'm so happy you asked. So I am on IG and Facebook at Realtor Thelma Cheeks. My name is spelled THELMA, last name CHEEKS, just like the cheeks on your face. So Realtor Thelma Cheeks on Instagram and Facebook. My phone number is 678-303-6018. I am available all the time. You can find the Book Now button on my Facebook and Instagram page for a free consultation. I'll give you 15 minutes of my time and answer any specific questions you may have. Also on Facebook and Instagram, you can find a free ebook download on how to navigate the home buying process. This book is amazing for people who are thinking about purchasing and just really don't know how to go about doing it. So I recommend that, and I'm always available, and I love to help you gain purchasing power to buy back the block. So please give me a call anytime.
There you go, y'all. Buy back the block, the whole thing, guys. And you can find the Low Up at the Low Up. That's on Facebook. You can also find us on Instagram. My name is Lee, and this has been another episode, y'all.